Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Master Division qualifying round edition for the Bryson 9-hole cup here in Golf Clash the game. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and before we start make sure that you do hit that thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Have in mind that regardless what level of Patreon package you are getting, our guide package, then you will get the ultimate tournament guide for expert and master qualifying round included. So doesn't matter if you have the $2 package or the highest package we do have, you will still get that content. So make sure you test out the most detailed and best guides on the market by going to Patreon. Link directly in the description down below. Follow the info box right hand side. You will get the elevation adjustment, club distance adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow what I do suggest, but there is always a plan behind it. My focus has been to go mainly with free-to-play balls, which luminaries and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm bundling in a win 5 on the par 3 because that is what I do. You will see a lot of drops. This is a playthrough based on a round of -18, which I'm very, very pleased with. So, enjoy and let's go. For hole number 1, I will give you just a normal overpowered shot to get our ball to the green area. If you do play with Apocalypse and level, regardless what Apocalypse level you're playing with, you shall be using max topspin and 1.5 bar of left spin. Red ring by the rough line to the left with Apoc 7 and 8, Apoc 5 and Apoc 6, you go with half of the red ring inside the rough to the left. Adjust its maximum distance with a 15% over adjustment. And you can see that we pull into overpower, and I was a bit, not confused is the wrong word, but I thought when I was playing this shot, this was just a shot that's going to be possible with Apocalypse 7 and Apocalypse 8 because of the topspin and also the headwind, otherwise we wouldn't be able to reach over. But you can see how much we clear the rough line there and get this ball down to green and to be very close to drop on hole in 1 already on hole number 1, which will be a possibility. Obviously we need a lot of luck, but that's gonna be a possibility. So what I did then after this was that I went in again to the practice mode to play with stats that is similar then to Apocalypse level 5, which is 6 bars of topspin instead of the 8 bars of topspin that we can use with Apocalypse 7 and 8. So, and then it looked like this. So it's still the same type of, it's Apocalypse level 8, but again, I'm trying to use the topspin for an Apocalypse level 5 to just test, can we make it over without it being super dangerous for the water? So again, I'm using 6 bars of topspin and I'm changing to 1.5 bar left spin then in the end, because that is what we shall be using. Still the same adjust though, max plus 15, that's not going to change anything whatsoever. And then we shall be going max overpower. And the reason we can still use the Apocalypse level 8 and still, know where the first bounce, still have the same first bounce, and that is because we do have the same power on Apocalypse 5, 6, 7, and 8. The only difference is obviously the topspin, but also then the accuracy. So playing with an Apocalypse 5 in level 6, with a less accuracy will obviously be more sensitive to a great ball. You can see with 6 bars of topspin we bounce on the fairway, we're getting it over the rough, and we do have some margins as well, and we do get up very close to the fringe. And from here you're trying to catch the funnel with as much topspin possible, and it's going to be a fairly simple wedge to lock that one in. I know there is power hooks out there, but in the end I tested a couple and I didn't feel comfortable with adding it this early, but we may be adding it in the guide if we do find someone that has something extremely solid in the team. But in the end though, safe and very good eagle here on hole number 1 to start with. For hole number 2, we are going to play with our Guardian in complete max distance with any type of power 2 ball. You can see that I'm looking to have the white ring completely inside the bunker to the left. Once finding that, I'm gonna use 2 right spin and 8 bars of backspin. Just disregard the ball guideline because it really has nothing to do with what we're looking for to set this shot up. Straight pull angle is what we're looking for, and we adjust max plus 20, power 3 numbers. Once that is done, we shall obviously focus on hitting perfect. This is a shot that has already been dropped loads in the chats that I've been sharing this shot with. This is an absolute money shot if you do hit perfect. A thing that you can do if you don't have many win 5 balls, you can go with a win 4 ball instead, because that will work as equally well. Make sure though that you don't go with any wind 3 in my opinion. The reason for that is that you will then risk adjusting down the cliff, and that's going to mess it up completely. So wind 5 or a wind 4 ball here with the Guardian, catch the funnel on the top right and get in the hole. For hole number 3, we are going to push this drive hard, because if we do not do this, we will be behind the trees that is on the left side of the green, and we don't want to do that, because yeah, that's obviously is going to be then a waste of our time and just gonna be an eagle. Stretch out to max to find the bullseye to be just before it gets clipped away by the sand trap line. Adjustment is going to be max plus 10 power 5 numbers, and we use 6 bars of topspin, 2 bars of side spin to the right. And the reason I'm using 6 bars of topspin here is because we do get into a nice distance, but also we then can mimic this shot with Apocalypse level 5, 6, 7 and 8. 1.5 ball curl to the right, max overpower after you have pushed this pushed it up to max. You can see that we're getting close to the tree there, but to be honest, I played this drive so many times and I'd never clipped the tree, which was weird to me, but then we're just obviously going to continue. But if you do clip the tree and roll out short, you're obviously going to have to adapt if that's going to happen. Maybe with a bad great right, that's going to be the case. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to mention that I've been playing it so many times that I haven't clipped the tree yet. From 446 yards, we are going to play with our short iron. And here, I'm going solely based on the yardage on my drive, because it's a linear hole. This instead of going with a plus yardage, because we're going to be in somewhat no man's land. One backspin, one left spin. Always have the first bounce on the fringe. So you have center fringe, and then you adapt backspin if you need more, if you have a short drive. And obviously, if you have a longer drive, you need to remove a little bit of backspin, if so. 20% elevation, and we're using 64% slider from 446 yards. Obviously, in the guide, we do have a yardage table for you to follow, which obviously will cover more yards. Unfortunately, a great left, but you can see as well that with the thorn, with a bad accuracy, a great left will miss a pretty decent amount in my opinion. So with a perfect ball, I feel comfortable that we will see ourselves dropping an albatross here very nicely on hole 3. But obviously hit perfect, otherwise you have no chance. Hole number 4. Here we start with any power 4 ball that we do have. You can see that I'm putting in absolute minimum distance, so please just disregard the ball that is shown on the replay, because we're gonna start with a power 4 ball in complete minimum distance, red ring 1/3 into the bunker to the left, also bottom of the yellow ring just by the rough line. 7.5 bar of backspin and 0.7 bars of left spin. Now, it's very important that you note the wind angle. You can see the 2 bushes there by the rocks. That is what I look at when I'm determine the curl or no curl that I'm going to use for this shot. Adjustment minimum distance with a 5% over adjustment power 1 ball setting, and you can see there that I used a very small amount of curl to the right. And the reason I did that was because my wind arrow was pointing towards the right side, to the right of the bushes. If that's the case, you need to use curl. If your wind arrow is more tailwind, which means that it will point to the right side of the bushes, then you don't go any curl whatsoever, because then you're not going to be pushed as much left as you will be when you have the wind angle pointing towards the right bush. I know it's very technical, but that is something that you need to start work with if you're going to try to dial in the par 3s and get more drops, or at least replicate and do more drops all the time then. Rocket is the club, otherwise you won't have the backspin. Power 1 ball or power 0 ball with win 5 is recommended. Power 2 or power 3 may go in between clubs if you do have a bad tailwind angle on start. But good chance in my opinion for a drop. Super boring wind here on hole number 5, and the only thing that we're gonna look for here is to secure the eagle, which you can do even with lower level clubs, and I'm gonna show you how. So start just before +1 with Apocalypse level 5 plus. You go with 2 bars of side spin to the right, and then 0.2 bars of backspin. Adjustment shall be maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment, power 5 ball settings. Very important that you have a straight pull here, because you have a wonky pull, you might risk the rough on the left. So just think about that. Then you go into overpower most of the time, and then you will have to add the overpower you adjust into. So in this case, I went half a ring into overpower, which means that I'm gonna use just a click of overpower. But let's say you go 2 or 3 rings into overpower, then obviously you're gonna have to use that amount in overpower to get as far up the fairway possible. The closer we get to the rough, the better it's going to be. Now, second shot is going to have to be played with a club that do have a lot of topspin. Then you may be thinking, I don't have a Cataclysm 7 or 8 with all the topspin. No, but then you go to the Horizon. Because the Horizon, even in a lower level, has a good amount of power. It has a lot of topspin, and it will do the job. And that's the only thing that we're looking for here. We're not looking to get to green. We're looking to get into a position where we're going to be able to have a straight wind for a wedge towards the pin to lock in the eagle, which, a wedge in straight headwind, if you're playing master, you should be able to handle that if it is from close to fringe. Adjustment shall be maximum distance +10, and here the same type of method as on the drive. If you adjust into overpower, use that amount as overpower for your second shot. But if you don't adjust into overpower like I did here, then you go without overpower, obviously. Bounce on the fairway, and the topspin is gonna do the job and get ourselves as close to the green here possible. And from here, we do have a wedge. And I'm gonna show you the wedge just to give you a pointer here as well. So with the wedge here, I'm always going to, from this area, play this one min +20. And I'm always going to use the left spin to align the ball guideline with the wind. That's very important in my opinion, because if you align the ball guideline with the wind, you're going to have a fault margin that's going to be it's going to be so simple, where you can hit a bad great left, bad great right. You can also over or under adjust, and you will still get that ball to drop. So minimum distance with a 20% over adjustment, and make sure to hit either great left or great right or perfect, and you're going to drop it, especially if you're using club like the Endbringer, as your wedge. So here we go for an eagle, nothing else. Hole number 6 is a hole that I haven't played in a very long time, so this was actually pretty fun to play this one. 7 bars of topspin, 1 bar of left spin. I'm starting at the +24 yard mark, and I'm using a power 5 ball. Win 4 or win 3 doesn't really matter, because again, what it will come to is how much overpower you're going to have to do. So when you do have the highest possible win with a win 3 ball, I would recommend to go win 4 to not risk too much with having to go with too much of overpower. But if you do have a win that is going to be around 10 to 11, I would say go with a win 3 ball and save this Namhe ball, which is a very good ball in my opinion. Adjust max +10. And once you adjust, you will notice how much you go into overpower. And what I would recommend to do there is, let's say I go 2 rings into overpower, then I use 1 ring of overpower. So I basically take the amount of rings that I adjust into overpower and just cut in half. So that is the way that I decide what overpower I'm going to use. Then once we're gonna take the shot, we go with left side of the ball, outside the adjustment ring to the left, in curl, just to straighten it up to get it down there. A great ball, right and left, should be fine, but like a single great, but a double great or a triple great, something like that, will be a problem. Now, the beauty with using a power 5 ball here is that we can play very close from minimum distance. So we're gonna use something that is called rings from min. And what is that? It means that you're going to push up a certain amount of rings, and that in itself will be a slider. So to give some context to what I just said, if you looked at that shot, I pushed up 2 rings from minimum distance to go with the ball guideline to the pin with no spin. So I'm always going to push up the amount of rings needed so I can get the ball guideline to hole without using any spin, right? So when I pushed up 2 rings, what I will be playing then is 2% slider, no elevation, right? So 2% slider, no elevation. Let's say that I would push up 12 rings instead. Then I will be playing 12% slider, no elevation instead. So with Thorn, and that's why I'm using Thorn here, it's always going to be 1% for every ring we push up. So it's going to be very easy to follow. So even though you might have the Hornet or the Falcon, I would, when we play with rings from Min here, recommend to go with the Thorn to just simplify the second shot a little bit for you, especially if you're new to the technical thing that is called rings from Min. But this is hole number 6, extremely good chance, especially if you do make a good drive. Hole number 7 is a very tough par 3, and I'm not counting with many drops on this par 3, but with the adjustment that I will explain to you, you will have a good chance every single time. Red ring by the rough line at the top right, and then bottom right of the red ring by the sand trap line, once that is found with the rock, and then half a bar of topspin and 0.5 bars of side spin to the right. Adjustment shall be a medium distance with a 5% over adjustment, and it's going to be power 2 ball settings. You can see here as well that I push my rings. I hate pushing my rings because it's harder to be accurate with your adjustment than it is by pulling. But as it's such a steep hill, it's almost impossible to be accurate if you're going to pull your rings. Once that is done, we shall try to hit perfect, no curl whatsoever here, and no overpower obviously either. Bounce on the fairway is going to go up onto the green and then roll towards the pin. You will either burn the edge so it's going to drop, but again, it's very hard to design this shot to drop all the time because there are so many variables that could come into play here, and that's, you know, a tough thing. So in the end though, power 2 ball is a must here. Power 1 ball will most likely go in between clubs, especially in the highest of the wins here with a win 5 ball on hole 7. Hole number 8, and we're going for green. This is a very beautiful wind, but it's sad that we're most likely not going to have this wind in the final round, as we're already getting it in the qualifying round. Stretch out to max in the ring by the edge of the fairway slash rough line, and then adjust max plus 10 power 5 ball settings. Once that is done, you shall push up, and here it's very important that depending on what club level you have, you're gonna push up a different amount because the accuracy is different. So what I do have for you here, again, it's for APOC 5 and 6, is an estimated number. We have push up 5.8 rings with Apocalypse level 8, 5.3 rings with Apocalypse level 7, and 4.8 rings with Apocalypse 5 and 6. Again, you know, this is a shot where, you know, the push-up is also based on hitting a perfect ball. Having a great ball right or left will most likely work, but I cannot promise you that's going to work, or, you know, I can never promise you that everything is going to work. But with a perfect ball, we have a very good chance to be by the green. In the video as well, I use 4.5 bars of topspin. I would recommend to go back and play 4.2 bars of topspin instead, because we came very close with a third bounce by the edge of the rough line there. So 4.2 bars of topspin and follow the push-up instructions, and then you will have a very good chance here on hole number 8. For hole 9, I'm going to play a no movement for the drive. A no movement means that you shall not touch your target until it's time to adjust the rings. 2 bars of left spin, 0.5 bars of top spin. Make sure that you're pulling with a straight pull. If you're going to favor anything, favor 11.59, because if you are pulling with a 12.01 pull and you have a crosswind angle, then you will risk clipping the rough with your second bounce, and then you will struggle getting the eagle on this par 5. So very important that you pull with 12, but favoring 11.59 if anything. 1.5 ball of curl, max overpower with kind of a slower needle, and that's why I like this drive, because I'm not pushing up to max. I can then hit perfect more times than I would do if I would push up to max. Half a bar of top spin, 2 bars of left spin. Second shot here. Okay, listen, this is a very aggressive approach that I'm going to play here now, but I would like to say like this. I wanted to give you a look at this approach because you know, if you want to play aggressive and you want to gamble a little bit, trying to get yourself an albatross on this tough par 5. If you're not interested in that and you just want to have the eagle, max backspin, 2 right spin, land the ball on green. So you back up and play on the fairway and give yourself the safest eagle possible. But if you're looking to play aggressive here, just by the edge of the rough line with max backspin, no side spin whatsoever. Ball guideline to go just left side of pin. Very important with a straight pull here. If favoring anything, you should be favoring 1159 here also. 20% elevation is what we're using. You can see that I'm using a smidge of overpower. So I'm having the bottom of the ball barely covering the bottom teeth. From plus 13-yard mark, I play 68% slider with 20% elevation. And you can see that that ball just crept in. But again, you know, I'm not expecting this one to drop for albatross all the time, but this is the way that I feel that we're gonna have a chance for the albatross every single time if we do hit perfect on the second shot. Obviously a great ball will not drop, but it will still be safely around the green area. We're gonna do one thing as well. Obviously we're gonna change from the Cataclysm to the sniper, because with the power 5 ball we still have power on the sniper to reach, and then the sniper is a better club to go with than the Cataclysm in my opinion. But once again, if you not feel comfortable with that aggressive approach, then you land the ball on the fairway before the green with max backspin, 2 right spin, and then you just bounce it up to green. And sure, you can push it towards the pin there also if you want to, but again, eagle is the goal if you're gonna do that that way. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Master Division here for the qualifying round of a Bryson 9-hole cup. Drops from almost every single hole, which is amazing to show you a video like that. Make sure to get any of our Patreon packages to get the qualifying round guide, the ultimate tournament guides, the most detailed and best guides on the market for Master Division, and also for Expert, because we're gonna do for Expert as well for the Bryson 9-hole cup. So make sure you get any package, doesn't matter what level you get, you will get the 9-hole cup content linked directly in the description down below. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Thank you once again for watching, and good luck in your Golf Clash game.